In this video, let's talk about the S-curve. Thanks for watching. My name is Mike West and I'm all on Tesla. Firstly, let's define it. The S-curve is a growth investing phenomenon where a company's sales and profits grow rapidly. A sample of data is always going to form a distribution. In data analysis, when we plot the data on a chart, we name those charts by the visual representations the data makes. One of the most common examples is a bell curve. Why do we call it a bell curve? Because when we graph the data points, the picture of the data looks like a bell. If you follow the financial media, you've likely noticed that a stock price often reacts to Wall Street upgrades and downgrades. Most of these adjustments are tied to professional analysts either raising or lowering these targets for a particular company, which is based on linear assumptions about performance. For example, this can include statements such as sales will increase 10% for the next 7 years, or earnings per share will grow 5% for the next decade. Therefore, it's also expected that a company's stock price will grow linearly over time. For stable, predictable businesses, there's nothing wrong with these forecasts. Management for companies like Starbucks might set a budget for how many stores they plan to open within a certain year. The profit stream that flows from each one of them tends to be fairly predictable. This information is also universally available, and many analysts have figured out what to look for in stable companies' earnings calls. The steadiness of their business model is already baked into the stock price. Therefore, major financial crises aside, you never see Starbucks knock it out of the park in a particular quarter. In fact, the company has often exactly matched consensus earning estimates. But for innovative companies and evolving markets, the profit stream is significantly less predictable. CEOs and managers are making decisions to gain a foothold in the markets that may not even exist yet. Customers are still familiarizing themselves with new products and figuring how best to incorporate them into existing processes. The inputs for the Wall Street spreadsheets have a high degree of uncertainty, which can result in price targets that are all over the place. It's one of the reasons why analysts following Tesla are so far off with their estimates. Most of them aren't a little off, most of them are laughably off. Therefore, linear assumptions aren't good for growth companies. All right, let's talk about growth companies like Tesla. When a growth company beats estimates, it often does so in spectacular fashion, like Tesla's fourth quarter deliveries. Once the mass market starts to adopt the company's products, sales and profits can shoot up quickly over a short period of time. This accelerated growth phase leads to a company's performance and the stock price resembling an S-curve. If a company reaches the middle of the S-curve, what I have named the sweet spot, other investors become more comfortable and jump on board as well. This tends to push the stock price even higher. This massive growth is to the advantage of growth investors. The goal is to find and buy companies, like Tesla today, that exhibit signs of reaching the middle of the S-curve tomorrow. All right, let's break down the S-curve a little further. On screen we have a graph, and we've plotted the X and Y axes. We've also plotted out what an S-curve looks like. There are 3 core segments in an S-curve. The first is the ramping up phase. This is the phase where people are new to the product. This phase will often be marked by stiff competition, research, and development. The next phase is the sweet spot, or the phase of tremendous growth. This is where we see those massive gains. Ideally, this is where you want to buy. The third phase is maturity. The company becomes more mature and the innovation slows down. Let's take a look at Apple, a personal computer manufacturer. The ramping up phase can be marked by a single product, and in Apple's case, it was the iPhone. On screen, we can see the inflection point in 2006 when the iPhone was born. Investors who recognized the potential impact of Apple's strategy early on have realized nearly 10,000% gains since 2001. Next, let's apply the S-curve to Tesla. Guess where Tesla is on the S-curve? Yep, you guessed it, right at the start of the hypergrowth point called the sweet spot. Now, you might argue we aren't in the sweet spot yet, or you might argue we're a year into the sweet spot. The truth is, it doesn't matter. That's because our minimum investment timeline is 5 years, and as long as we're adding to our positions over time, we're going to hit the sweet spot and enjoy some of the stellar gains, and it's why I'm all in on Tesla. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the inflection point is or was. It might have been the release of the Model Y. Down below in the comments, why don't you let me know what you think the inflection point was. Also, let me know where you think Tesla is on the S-curve right now. On to some biased news of the day. The CBS headline reads, Tesla recall, full self-driving software runs stop signs. So, the car acts like the rest of us. I roll through every stop sign where I'm the only car. Now, to be honest, it's probably not a good idea to add this feature to your code base. So just take it out. Not the end of the world. However, if you were to dive into the article a little more, you'd see this. The recall shows that Tesla programmed, and I'm quoting here, the recall shows that Tesla programmed its vehicles to violate the law in most states, where police will ticket drivers for disregarding stop signs. Next up, CBS had to find some biased people to make the article seem more credible. Philip Koopman, a professor of electrical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University, said four-way stops are commonly placed to protect intersections for children when no crossing guard is present. Thanks, Phil. We didn't know that. I can see you used the child angle to make it seem like rolling stops endangered children. It's not reality, but you don't care about that. Another anti-Musk shill adds. Jonathan Atkins, executive director of the Governor's Safety Association, said he's not surprised that Tesla programmed vehicles to violate state laws. He said, and I quote, "They keep pushing the bounds of safety to see what they can get away with. Each time it just gets a little more egregious. It's good to see the NHTSA is pushing back." Now, once you start reading the news about Tesla on a daily basis, it becomes painfully obvious that the mainstream media and the mainstream financial media are highly biased against Tesla. As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.